Morning, Frida.
Good morning from Mexico. Join me as I step out of my hotel to explore the eateries and watering holes in this country's capital of culinary delight, Oaxaca. I'll also visit a Mezcal distillery and end the day with a calenda, a Mexican street party specific to this cultural hub. After a short stroll, I stop at the Hotel Casa de Sierra Azul for breakfast, where I enjoy a glass of Jugo Verde, which is a fresh, bright vegetal drink made with lots of ingredients including kale and lime or lemon, with a hint of ginger, very refreshing. Next is a plate of Oaxacan enfrijoladas, corn tortilla, black bean sauce topped with Oaxacan cheese and spicy grilled marinated pork, followed by a tamale de mole, which is tender masa steamed in its leaf, then opened to reveal a rich dark mole with notes of cacao, toasted spices and dried chilies. It's wonderfully comforting and unmistakably Oaxacan. Morning. Still peckish, I head to the famous 20th of November market, which I featured in a previous video. I stop at random at a food bar and order this chicken broth soup, which is brought to life by lemon, coriander, onion and chilli. I soon make a friend who treats me to a beer and tells me that this is an excellent hangover cure. Cheers to that.
Salud.
Now joined by my friend Ita, we stroll through the heart of the city. By day and night you'll find people selling everything from hats and souvenirs to rugs.
La Casa de Mezcal. It's my kind of house.
We then come across a mariachi band, so I make a request for the Mexican song I like, Guantanamera. In fact, the classic mariachi ensemble, which is built around guitars, trumpets and vocals, has been the inspiration behind the music I've composed for my Oaxaca videos. If you like my work, leave a like and a comment, I'd love to know. After a stroll around the city, I join my tour guide, Sule, a friend of my friend, Ita. As we climb the many steps to the Auditorio Guelaguetza, Sule impresses me with her knowledge of the city's history, which she's clearly extremely proud of. Even more impressive, though, is that she does all of this under the baking sun without getting out of breath.
Basically join to what is going to be the people, the communities that pay like tribute to and also because
the view is worth the climb and a perfect spot to launch my drone. A little note for anyone bringing a drone into Mexico: the rules are relaxed, but I was charged $90 at customs for bringing mine in, as its value's over $500. I hope you enjoy this rather costly footage. To work up an appetite, we explore Jaltlaco, a region of Oaxaca renowned for its colourful murals. Local artists are commissioned to paint these, which, in my opinion, perfectly capture the colourfully vibrant spirit of Oaxaca.
Yeah.
There's a lot of murals related to the Day of the Dead, but also to some other things like social problems, history, or like just musical pieces or culture from here.
To end our fascinating tour of some really beautiful parts of the city, and upon Sula's recommendation, we stop here for some Oaxacan street food.
So what's in this again? It's the
Mayo, beans, avocado, tomatoes, and the chile relleno, which it can be filled with pork or chicken.
Is it Mezcal o'clock?
It is, yes.
Ah, I thought so.
In a cosy bar, Ita and I now enjoy some mezcal, Oaxaca's famous agave-based spirit, along with a curious beer cocktail called Michelada, blending beer with Valentina sauce, clamato, and lime juice. It's tangy, spicy, refreshing, kind of a zesty Bloody Mary in Mexican style. Stepping back into the city after a few drinks, I'm then shocked to be insulted by a local.
Hey, gringo, go home.
Excuse me.
I don't take it personally, of course, because Ita's actually referring to some graffiti I noticed on my first day in Oaxaca. She explains that gentrification is causing a lot of tension amongst the locals. Basically, as tourists and new residents from other countries especially move in, rents rise and some traditional shops and homes are being pushed out. It's a tricky balance of preserving Oaxaca's culture and a welcoming change, and obviously a contentious issue. The weather's now wet and overcast. It's late September, rainy season. Coming from the UK, I was concerned about missing out on some vitamin D, but in reality, actually, the varied weather made the city all the more interesting. Next is one of the highlights of my trip, finally experiencing the 7 moles of Oaxaca. Mole means sauce in Spanish. Oaxaca is famous for its sauces, which I've been eager to try since my love of Mexican cuisine began about a year ago. Ita leads me to a restaurant, Los Pacos, where an informative waiter guides me through the sauces, explaining the key ingredients and recommending pairings. The first is mole verde, which tastes of things like pumpkin seeds, fresh herbs, green chilies, tomatillo, garlic. It's fresh, fragrant, nutty, creamy, traditionally served with pork, chicken, and fresh vegetables. The next is mole amarillo, where I can taste chilies like the guajillo and the costeño amarillo chilies, along with tomatillo, garlic, cloves, cumin, masa. It's bright, it's earthy, and has a very clean herbal sharpness. Apparently pairs well with chicken.
Chichilo.
The next is the mole chichilo, which has flavours of the chilhuacle negro and pasilla chilies, as well as beef broth, herbs, toasted tortillas, a touch of masa. It's earthy, meaty, slightly bitter, pre-Hispanic in origin apparently, and used for beef stews and ritual meals. Mole almendrado is an almond-based, creamy, slightly sweet and nutty sauce. I didn't realise at the time, but apparently it's not actually part of the canonical 7 moles. But as a fan of almonds, I did enjoy it nonetheless.
With beef tongue or chicken, okay? Mole alcaparrado, estofado alcaparrado, principal ingredients, capers.
Estofado alcaparado, which the waiter definitely pronounced better than me, is a mole style with capers, olives, sesame seeds and warm spices. It's savoury, tangy, and again it's outside of the traditional 7 moles of Oaxaca, but absolutely delicious nonetheless.
The last ones are the sweet moles.
Yeah, doradito, red mole, mole rojo.
Mole rojo, the 6th of the 7, is a beautiful combination of guajillo, ancho, pasilla chilies, tomato, onions, garlic, sesame seeds, oregano, cinnamon, and many more. It's spicy, it's smoky, it's aromatic, it's balanced by toasted seeds, and there's a hint of sweetness, which pairs beautifully with pork, beef, and rice, apparently.
The almonds, the chocolate, and the cinnamon, they're the main flavours.
Primer sabor, probar el mole negro.
And then, is this the king of the mole?
Yeah.
The mole negro, number one. Best until last.
Es el mole.
I want
And
to.
finally, the mole that I've been waiting so long to finally try, mole negro, the king of the mole. It contains ingredients like the pasilla negro, mulatto chilies, plantain, almonds, sesame seeds, raisins, onion, garlic, tomato, spices, and even dark chocolate. It's rich, it's complex, it's deep, it's velvety. The balanced bitterness, sweetness, and spice, it's an incredible combination. Traditionally, it's served over meat such as turkey or chicken, and it's the most ceremonial and labour-intensive of the 7 mole, taking several days to make.
Really?
Yeah, my brain can't process all the flavours.
No puede procesar todos los sabores.
After briefly being quizzed by Eater on what I remembered from the tasting, we decide on what we'll order for our main meal. I want a good fill of mole negro, which I pair with pork ribs as recommended by our waiter, whereas Eater goes for a combination of mole negro and mole verde, tastefully separated by rice and plantain, which occurred to me at the time as being reminiscent of the Mexican flag, though I suppose the red sauce might have been closer.
Salud.
Salud.
And now time just for a quick nightcap before bed. Good night. No trip to Oaxaca is complete without visiting a Mezcal distillery. Christian, Eater's brother, works at Un Dia a la Vez and has kindly arranged a guide to walk me through the production process. The agave leaves are cut away to leave the hearts, called piñas, which are harvested when the plant begins to flower at peak sugar content. The piñas are slow roasted in an earthen pit with hot volcanic stones, then covered with earth and wood for about 3 to 5 days to caramelise the sugars and to impart a smoky flavour, the flavour that Mezcal is really known for. Next, the roasted piñas are crushed under this big stone called a tahona. It's pulled by a mule or a horse traditionally, and even today, in order to release the sweet agave juice. Would have been quite nice and interesting to taste it at this stage. The mashed agave and juice are placed in open wooden vats for 4 to 10 days to ferment spontaneously with wild yeasts. This produces an agave beer called tepache, which is then double distilled. The first distillation produces a rough spirit called ordinario, while the second yields a clear mezcal. The mezcal is bottled, ready for drinking either immediately, which I would prefer, or after maturation in oak barrels. Finally, it's time for a tasting session, and as the locals say, and please excuse my pronunciation as I really do not speak Spanish, para todo mal, mezcal, y para todo bien, también. For every ill, mezcal, and for every good as well. Or in other words, it's always mezcal o'clock in Oaxaca. Bottoms up.
Yeah, it's nice. But I think I like the Mexicano.
My favourite mezcal, I've decided, is the Mexicano, with subtle peppery spiciness that complements the smokiness very well.
And then these ones are not in breast. For example, this one has
So I'm very sure happy.
Finally, I leave Ita, only to be suddenly swept into another calenda. A festive street parade with music, dancers, and of course, yes, more mezcal. These calendas are a great way to make new friends, enjoy some drinks, and I'm even dragged into this conga. Normally dancing is my worst nightmare, but fortunately for the mezcal, my inhibitions are slightly numbed. And with that, sadly, my Oaxacan adventure comes to an end, and it's time for this gringo to go home.
Bye-bye.
If you liked this video, please consider watching others in this series. Liking and subscribing really encourages me to continue creating this kind of content. So until the next time, Viva Mexico!
¡Viva México!
Viva Mexico!